Welcome, dear viewer. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here. Today you're about to embark on a journey through time, mystery, royalty, and divine wisdom. Have you ever heard of a queen so powerful, so curious, that she crossed vast deserts just to seek truth from a king? This is not just history, it's a story of courage, transformation, and eternal legacy. Sit tight, open your heart, and travel with us into the breathtaking tale of the Queen of Sheba. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful, inspiring stories that stir the soul. Let's begin. Divine Tales presents to you the complete untold secrets of the Queen of Sheba, her encounter with Solomon. At the heart of this ancient tale lies a conflict far deeper than a royal visit. It is the inner battle between power and purpose, wealth and wisdom, belief and truth. The Queen of Sheba was no ordinary monarch. She ruled a vast kingdom filled with riches, glory, and admiration. Yet, something stirred within her, a hunger that gold couldn't satisfy, a question that her gods could not answer. Could there truly be a man whose wisdom came directly from the divine? And if so, what truth might she discover in his presence? Her journey is filled with tension and risk. What if she was wrong? What if this Solomon was just another man cloaked in reputation? And what if, in seeking answers, she had to confront her own beliefs, her pride, and her vulnerability? Through the deserts, across foreign lands, she travels not only to test King Solomon but to challenge the very foundation of her understanding. This story reveals a queen's emotional struggle to reconcile her royal identity with her spiritual emptiness, and a king's divine calling to reveal truth not just in words, but in wisdom, grace, and discernment. In the heart of a distant, golden kingdom, a queen stands at the edge of a profound question, one that calls her beyond the riches of her realm. A whisper in the winds of destiny urges her to journey, leaving behind the familiar comfort of her throne to seek a wisdom that stirs her soul. Through the desolate sands she rides, the weight of unspoken wonder pressing against her heart. When she arrives in the land of promise, the air thick with both reverence and challenge, she gazes upon a city where the sacred and the royal meet, and her spirit trembles with awe. There, in the presence of Solomon, words are not just spoken, they are revelations. Questions arise, flowing like rivers, testing both her resolve and his wisdom. Each answer unfolds a layer of truth, deeper than her crown ever promised. As she prepares to leave, the gift she carries is not of gold, but of a heart transformed. The journey back is not just a return home, but a step toward an eternal legacy, one whispered by time itself, forever echoing between the realms of belief and understanding. The Queen of Sheba, a ruler of unmatched power, crossed miles of unforgiving terrain, not in search of riches, but for truth that could change her very soul. In the court of King Solomon, her questions were met not with answers, but with revelations that shook her to her core. What she found was not just wisdom, but a transformation of heart. As her kingdom awaited, so did her legacy, a queen forever changed. And you, dear viewer, are left with the same question. What truth are you willing to seek? Now, let's dive deep into a story that transcends time, a tale of wisdom, courage, and transformation. From the queen's restless longing to her fateful meeting with Solomon, every moment unfolds a deeper truth. Beneath the blazing sun, far beyond the golden dunes of the ancient world, there existed a kingdom unlike any other, a land bathed in opulence, grace, and divine mystery. It was Sheba, a kingdom so radiant, so rich in treasures and culture, that its name was whispered with awe across distant continents. And reigning over it was a woman both feared and admired, the incomparable Queen of Sheba. She was not merely a monarch seated on a jeweled throne. She was a force, wise, eloquent, and captivating. Her beauty was the subject of poets, her intellect the envy of scholars. Crowned with gold, adorned in silks, she ruled her people with a balance of firm justice and deep compassion. Under her leadership, Sheba flourished like a blooming garden in the desert, its markets overflowing with incense, spices, and gems that shimmered like captured stars. But even within such splendor, there was a silence, an ache. Deep within her heart stirred an unsettling curiosity, one she could neither quiet nor understand. For in the stillness of the night, dreams came, visions wrapped in riddles and light. She saw a man cloaked not in wealth but in wisdom so profound, it pierced the veil between heaven and earth. His voice was calm yet thunderous in truth. His eyes held galaxies of understanding. And the dreams weren't just figments. They echoed the whispers of travelers and prophets, tales passed down from merchant ships and desert nomads. There is a king in Jerusalem, a man named Solomon, a ruler whose wisdom was not born of man, but given by the very hand of the Most High God. Could it be true? Could a man on this earth know the secrets of the stars and the heart? Could he unlock the questions that even her priests could not answer? The queen's curiosity deepened into a sacred unrest, a hunger not for more riches but for truth. Intimate. Was there something missing in her kingdom? In her soul? Was the journey ahead not just for knowledge, but for a revelation that could change everything? The decision didn't come easily. After all, she was queen, unquestioned, unrivaled. To travel far across the burning sands, to seek another's counsel, especially a man, could be seen as weakness. But in her heart, she knew it wasn't weakness to seek truth. It was wisdom. And so, with trembling courage, she prepared. Lavish gifts were selected: gold, frankincense, precious stones, tokens of both honor and expectation. Her heart beat like war drums, but not from fear, from purpose. Because somewhere beyond the sand and silence, a king waited, and within their meeting lay a destiny she could neither predict nor avoid. But what was the true reason behind her unrest? What secret longing stirred her spirit to chase the voice in her dreams? Only one thing was certain: the journey had begun. And what she would discover would not just change her, but echo across eternity. The Queen of Sheba stood in the marble chamber of her palace, eyes fixed on the horizon. The decision had settled like fire in her bones, irresistible and absolute. She could no longer ignore the silent call pulling at her spirit. She must see this King Solomon for herself. Not through the lips of travelers, not in the scrolls of wise men, but face to face, soul to soul. There were questions too sacred for letters, too heavy for messengers. And only one man, it seemed, carried the answers her heart had long been searching for. Her court stood in stunned silence as she made the announcement. Some bowed in agreement, but others, especially her priests, watched with eyes full of worry. "Your Majesty," they warned, "you are the oracle to your people. What do you seek that you cannot summon within these walls?" But even they could see it, something had shifted in her. This was not a journey of politics. This was the pursuit of something divine. She turned to her people with grace and strength, offering an emotional farewell. "I go," she said, "not in search of gold but of truth. For even a queen must kneel before wisdom." Then came the preparation, a task of immense weight and precision. Her treasurers and royal merchants gathered the most extravagant offerings ever assembled. Chests of glimmering gold, spices that perfumed the air like heaven's breath, and stones carved with the symbols of her kingdom. But these were not mere bribes or gifts. They were symbols of reverence, of honor, of humility. She oversaw every detail. No camel was selected without purpose. No servant assigned without blessing. She moved with a quiet urgency, her heart torn between excitement and uncertainty. As her grand caravan took shape, the people of Sheba lined the palace gates, some weeping, others cheering. Few understood the true weight of her departure, not just the physical distance, but the spiritual journey she was undertaking. And then, the desert, vast, silent, unforgiving. The Queen of Sheba rode at the center of the great caravan, her silhouette veiled in silk, yet her presence shining like flame. Each mile brought challenges, sandstorms that threatened their path, nights so cold even fire felt distant, whispers of doubt among her men. What if this Solomon was a fraud? What if she was leaving everything behind for a dream? Still she pressed on. There were moments she questioned her own boldness. But deeper still was a voice, a gentle echo within, assuring her that this was no ordinary journey, that her questions had been planted by purpose. That truth was waiting just beyond the horizon. Yet suspense loomed heavy. Would Solomon truly carry the divine wisdom she had dreamt of? Would her questions finally find peace? Or would pride, either hers or his, cloud the answers? One thing was certain: destiny was drawing near, and nothing would ever be the same again. The sun began to rise behind the final stretch of distant hills, casting a golden glow across the horizon. As the Queen of Sheba's caravan crested the last dune, her breath caught in her throat. Before her lay a city unlike any she had ever seen, Jerusalem, the fabled city of David. Its rooftops shimmered like polished gold beneath the morning light. The grand temple, regal, towering, and otherworldly, rose at the city's heart like a flame reaching toward heaven. She had seen beauty. She had ruled over magnificence. But this was holiness carved into stone. As the queen was escorted through the city streets, whispers followed her every step. Children peeked from windows. Elders murmured blessings. Nobles watched with cautious interest. Her arrival stirred both admiration and unease. Who was this foreign queen, this woman wrapped in gold and mystery, who had crossed the sands to stand before their king? But beneath her majestic veil, her heart was torn in two. Can one man truly hold the wisdom of the gods? She wondered. Or have I been led by illusions and dreams? Her people had crowned her wise, but now she felt like a student entering the chamber of a hidden master. Her pride wrestled with humility. Her confidence battled a rising tide of vulnerability. She recalled the faces of her priests, their final words echoing in her memory, "Be careful, my queen. Not all truth is gentle." Still, she had come too far to retreat. She must know. The royal court of Solomon awaited her entrance. Its pillars stood tall like ancient sentinels, each stone humming with a quiet, sacred power. At its heart sat the man himself, Solomon, the king of Israel. His presence was calm yet commanding, his eyes deep as oceans, steady as the stars. But how would he receive her? As an honored guest? Or a challenger in disguise? Tension rippled through the chamber like a silent wind. Servants froze in place. Scribes set down their scrolls. The queen approached slowly, each step heavy with questions, with hope, with centuries of longing. What followed would determine everything. A meeting ordained by prophecy, wrapped in mystery, and destined to echo through generations. The Queen of Sheba had arrived. And the test, hers and his, was about to begin. The chamber was silent, so silent that the sound of her breath felt like thunder. The Queen of Sheba stood before King Solomon, her posture regal, her eyes veiled with intensity. She had crossed deserts, defied tradition, and walked through doubt to stand here. Now at last it was time. Wisdom would meet majesty. She spoke first, not with flattery but with fire. Her voice carried riddles wrapped in poetry, questions soaked in mystery, challenges born not of arrogance, but of curiosity. If a stream splits into three and only one leads to life, how does the wise man choose? What is more powerful than armies, yet silent as breath? Where does purpose go when pain blinds the heart? These were not questions for a scholar. They were the burdens of her spirit, wrapped in metaphor, sealed in the language of royalty and grief. Solomon listened, not just with his ears but with his essence. His response was not immediate nor boastful. He let her words settle like seeds falling on sacred soil. And then, with a peace that felt heaven-born, he answered. Not with argument, not with dominance, but with truth. He did not solve her riddles, he unraveled them. He spoke of time and eternity, of creation and creator. He spoke of how the soul finds its purpose not in power but in surrender. Of how pain can be a teacher and silence a sanctuary. He quoted the stars and the scrolls. He spoke of heaven not as a place far off but as a presence near. And the queen, mighty, brilliant, worshipped by nations, wept. Not because she was conquered but because she was seen. In that moment she felt it, what her dreams had long whispered. That her questions were never meant to be answered by man alone, but by the spirit that spoke through Solomon's lips. This king was not just wise. He was anointed. They spoke for hours, maybe days, no record tells exactly. But the scrolls agree on this. They spoke of things too deep for common words. Life, death, purpose, womanhood, the loneliness of power, the ache of leadership, and the weight of being chosen. And in all of it she felt known, as if someone had finally read the pages of her soul. But behind her questions a secret still lingered, one she could not yet voice. What if she wasn't only here for answers? What if her heart, long guarded by crowns and kingdoms, longed for connection? As Solomon answered her spoken riddles, he gently touched the unspoken ones. The fears she carried, the wounds she hid, the strength it took to remain unshaken when her spirit was trembling. The court watched in awe as two sovereigns shared something deeper than diplomacy, a divine conversation between two destinies, written by the same hand. But as the queen's final question lingered on her lips, suspense gripped the air. What truth was she still hiding behind her brilliance? And was Solomon ready to hear it? As the days wore on, the encounter between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon deepened. What had begun as a meeting of royalty and wisdom slowly transformed into something far more sacred. There was a shift in the air, a quiet unfolding of hearts as respect turned to spiritual intimacy. The queen, who had once stood as an untouchable monarch, now found herself drawn not just to Solomon's wisdom but to the soul behind it. They spoke less of riddles now and more of truths that pierced deeper than words. The queen, in all her regal splendor, began to let down her guard. Her questions became fewer, but the silence between them held a powerful weight. It was as if their very presence was speaking, both to each other and to the divine. And then at last the queen's secret came to light. It was not the gold she sought or the answers to her riddles. She had come here for something far more elusive, truth beyond power, something her kingdom could not give her. The more she listened to Solomon, realized that her entire life had been a pursuit of illusion. Wealth, beauty, and even wisdom were but shadows of the truth she so desperately craved. She had once ruled over the riches of the earth, but the treasures of her heart had remained unfulfilled, untouched by the hands of man. With trembling hands and a voice softened by revelation, she confessed, "I have seen all that there is to see in the world, splendor, riches, and power. But I am empty. I have ruled, yet I have never truly known truth. Will you show me the God you serve?" The weight of her question hung in the air. Solomon looked at her, not as a queen but as a sister, a soul in need seeking to be made whole. In response, Solomon spoke not just of Israel's God, but of a divine order that stretched beyond nations and kingdoms. He spoke of prophecies and promises, of a creator who had made the heavens and the earth in perfect harmony. He shared the mysteries of the Almighty, whose wisdom did not begin in earthly courts but in the very beginning of time. He spoke of love that transcended understanding and grace that covered even the darkest corners of the soul. The queen listened, captivated, her spirit unmooring itself from the chains of past beliefs. Her eyes, once sharp and calculating, now softened. Every word Solomon spoke felt like a healing balm for her restless heart. She felt her very being stirring, as if the deepest parts of her were finally awakening from a long sleep. As the hours turned into days, her transformation was evident. The Queen of Sheba, who had once come to test a king, now stood before him changed. The walls of her heart, built by years of power and pride, began to crumble. But there remained a question, a test of her own faith. The tension grew as she felt the stirrings of something new within her. Would she leave behind her old gods, the ones her people had worshipped for generations, for the God of Israel? Would she forsake the power she had once known for the peace Solomon spoke of? The suspense lingered in the air as she gazed into the eyes of Solomon, her heart torn between the old and the new, between the God she had been born to honor and the one true God who now called to her. Would she take the leap of faith? Would she bow not just to Solomon, but to the God he served? The choice now was hers, and hers alone. The time had come for the Queen of Sheba to leave the land of Israel. Her heart, once heavy with questions and doubts, now carried a profound peace, a peace she had never known in the riches of her own kingdom. As she prepared to return, the transformation within her was undeniable. She was not the same woman who had arrived at Solomon's court. The powerful ruler had become a humble seeker, touched by divine wisdom and filled with a new sense of purpose. Before she departed, Solomon led her to a grand hall, where lavish gifts, gold, jewels, rare spices, were laid out as a tribute to her royal status. Yet, as their eyes met, the exchange of treasures became something more than mere protocol. It was a symbol of gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of the spiritual journey they had shared. Each gift from Solomon now carried the weight of truth and love that had flowed between them, a deep bond that could not be measured in material wealth. As the queen readied herself to mount her magnificent camel and begin the long journey home, Solomon approached her with a heart full of prophetic words. "You came seeking wisdom," he said, his voice steady and full of grace. "Now go and let this wisdom transform your kingdom. Let your people see the truth you have found. For the God of Israel will be with you, and his wisdom will guide your every step." With those words, the Queen of Sheba felt the full weight of her destiny settle upon her. She was no longer just a queen, she was now a bearer of divine truth. As the caravan began its journey through the desert, the queen rode away, wiser, spiritually awakened, and forever altered in heart and spirit. But as the horizon swallowed her form, the burning question lingered in the air. What legacy would she carry back to her kingdom? Would she share the wisdom she had gained, or would it remain locked in her heart, known only to her? The answer would be revealed only with time. The sands of time had shifted, but for the Queen of Sheba, the journey she had taken was far from over. Her kingdom, once vibrant with the gold and treasures of the earth, was now touched by a wisdom far greater than any material wealth. The moment she returned to Sheba's royal city, she was not just a queen returning home. She was a woman transformed, her heart and spirit forever altered by the truth she had found in Solomon's words and the God he served. Her people saw the change, not just in her demeanor but in her every decision. The laws of her land began to shift subtly. Her reign, already wise, now bore the marks of divine guidance. She was no longer a ruler who sought power for its own sake, but a queen whose decisions were infused with purpose and deep spiritual understanding. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Generations later, the mention of the Queen of Sheba would not be lost in the annals of time. In the words of Jesus himself, she would be remembered. He spoke of the queen's search for wisdom as a testament to the unyielding pursuit of truth, calling her a righteous woman whose journey had shaped the history of nations. Her journey, in fact, had transcended her lifetime, echoing through the centuries as a beacon for all those who sought something deeper than earthly treasure. Her story would become a sacred memory, not just for the kingdom of Sheba but for the people of Israel and for all who heard her tale. Her example of humility, of seeking divine truth beyond the surface of wealth, would inspire countless generations to come. As the Queen of Sheba's story unfolds, we are reminded of the immense power of seeking truth beyond the surface, of pursuing wisdom that transcends worldly wealth and pride. Her journey to Solomon, the transformative encounter, and the legacy she left behind are echoes that resound through generations. But now the question is yours. What would you seek if truth stood before you? Will you chase after fleeting treasures, or will you dare to embark on a journey of deeper understanding? The Queen of Sheba's legacy reminds us all that true transformation begins when we seek the truth that stirs our hearts and awakens our spirits. Her story is more than a historical tale, it is a call to action for each of us. So what will you choose? Let the wisdom of her journey inspire you, and if this story touched your soul, don't forget to subscribe for more captivating tales that ignite your spirit. Reflective questions. 1. What do you believe was the most powerful lesson the Queen of Sheba learned during her journey to meet King Solomon? 2. How do you think the Queen of Sheba's transformation affected the future of her kingdom? 3. In your opinion, what is the true meaning of wisdom and how can it change our lives today? Share your thought in the comments section. Captivating lessons from this story. 1. The power of seeking truth. The Queen of Sheba's journey teaches us that true wisdom is worth pursuing, no matter the distance or sacrifice. She didn't seek to reinforce her power but to discover a deeper truth that could transform her life. 2. Humility and leadership. Despite her vast wealth and power, the Queen approached King Solomon with a humble heart, acknowledging that there was more to learn. True leaders recognize that there is always room for growth. 3. The value of divine wisdom. The story highlights that material wealth and status pale in comparison to the divine wisdom that shapes our hearts and guides our decisions. Seeking wisdom from a higher source can transform not just individuals, but entire nations. 4. The importance of spiritual awakening. The Queen's transformation reflects the power of spiritual awakening. A deeper connection to divine purpose can change one's perspective on life, enriching our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. 5. Patience in pursuit. The Queen's long and difficult journey to meet Solomon teaches us the importance of patience and persistence. Sometimes the greatest answers to life's questions require time and perseverance. 6. The influence of humble encounters. Sometimes the most impactful conversations and experiences are the ones where we approach with openness, asking the right questions. The Queen's encounter with Solomon shows that humility and curiosity lead to profound insights. 7. Legacy beyond material wealth. The Queen's story shows us that true legacy is built on wisdom, not just material possessions. Her reign and spiritual awakening left a lasting impact that influenced generations to come, teaching us that wisdom and faith leave the most meaningful mark on history. Prayers. Lord, just as the Queen of Sheba sought wisdom from King Solomon, grant me the courage to seek your truth in all things. May I always hunger for deeper understanding and the wisdom that only you can provide. Amen. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey. I believe you were inspired by this captivating story, so share your thoughts and comments in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more faith-filled stories and divine inspiration. Till we come your way next time, bye for now.